today. Welcome to the Speedway Tavern. Enjoy your stay. Webby, GA, and Matt are here today. Welcome to the Speedway Tavern. Come and have your say.
Speedway has had many heroes over the years, riders that have achieved greatness or gained our admiration as they conquer adversity or injury. But there are other heroes in this sport, heroes that have never put their leg over a speedway bike. One such hero is John Chaplin, a regular contributor to the Speedway Star and a guest on this programme. John has sadly passed away aged 85. He was an accomplished professional and a friend and enthusiastic member of the Speedway family. He was a fan. He was one of us. Our thoughts are with his family at this time. Rest in peace, John. Good evening, gentlemen. How are you doing, Chris? How are you doing, Matt? Yes, poor Matt has just rung in. He's not feeling very well. Got a bit of a sore throat. I think it's because he didn't want to talk about Wolverhampton's chances, but...
sick note.
Sick note, yes.
Yeah.
Which is actually pertinent to some of the rule changes. Maybe we should... we'll talk.
Is that an unintentional link then from me?
It was very unintentional. I'm not linking anyway because I'm not going to talk about it.
I'm actually getting good at it.
But yeah, I think we should perhaps hold him to some of the rule changes. Maybe we should adopt them ourselves.
Okay, go for it.
But yeah, we will go over all that a little bit later. We haven't got time now because we have Ashley Morris coming in about 10 minutes on our phone. So, first thing to say...
Before we do that, can I just go through some of the
comments?
Because there's been quite a few people on. David,
okay,
Derek,
hello everybody.
Paul, Stephen, Dennis, Lawrence, Paul, Derek, Turner, Stephen, Lawrence, Peter, Lawrence, or Matt Book as well.
Never heard of
See?
it. Yeah.
He ain't got time. He hasn't got time.
Well.
Okay, so shared. People have shared the stream, which is really good.
Yes, share the stream because we shove you in a... Well, it's a glass ball this week.
It's a glass ball this week.
Made out of plastic?
Yeah. It's one of those, you put the chocolates in, those Lindt.
Well, you mean those chocolates that you were scoffing when I came in?
Yeah. Stephen Zettervor has shed it in Sweden. That's a German accent, isn't it?
That was bordering on racism, to be fair.
Dennis Hall is watching from Napier, New Zealand. Keep it up, guys.
Fantastic.
Lawrence says evening. Paul, PVL Racing, all ready for tomorrow, Lawrence, says Paul. Derek Turner, guys, just let you know that John Armstrong and Tom Woolley have been announced as riding in the Pride of Potteries at Stoke on Saturday, April the 13th. I can go through some more.
Go for it. Okay. We might as well.
This is what Lawrence has replied. Yes, track looks good and everything's clean and tidy thanks to our superb volunteers. Good to see old friends Wilmot in Oz tuning in, says Lawrence. Draw for the Pride of the Potteries will take place on Saturday live on the Stoke official Facebook page. Hi Tony, Dean Brundle, Brian Hewitt. I think they're trying to tag somebody in. Evening guys, can I mention Kevlar? Sure, it's been mentioned before, but why not each team member have a different design on right arm to make identification easier? I'm sure Ivan would have chosen I've lost it now. It's gone that quick. I'm sure it's been mentioned before.
Let's give that one a whirl, because I've never heard that one before.
It's a pretty good idea, really.
Well, it does sound a pretty good idea.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's not something that needs to be worried about at Birmingham this year because we're not going with Team Kevs.
No.
So we'll get the identification from the riders anyway, because we'll know what Kevlars that they're wearing, because they'll be wearing their own Kevs. I've said many times, but then I'm an old fuddy-duddy. I prefer it that way. I've never really taken to Team Kevlars, although I did quite like the design of last year's one. I thought that was quite stylish. But by the end of the year, most of the riders weren't wearing them because most of the riders were injured. It's one of those. But an identification on their armband. I suppose the easiest identification would be a number, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
That would be the easiest thing. But are you going to be able to see that from the terraces?
Well, surname, like as I do in football.
Yeah. But again, are you going to be able to see that in the terraces?
Well, I'm pretty sure you can. I mean, you can see it with footballers, can't you? You can see what's on the back of their...
Can you?
Oh, you can, yeah.
Are they travelling at 60, 70 miles an hour?
No, there is that.
Under not the best floodlights, I guess.
Yeah, you probably
so,
might.
I'm not sure. I think
I
there's
didn't think
something
that
to
one
be
through,
said.
did I, really?
No,
didn't think it through.
Nobody's surprised. There's something to be said. About having like a sleeve that you can fit over it. So red, blue, yellow, black, and white. So that so the same as the helmet colours. So the helmet colours come off.
Yeah, good on you.
That's a possibility, I guess. I don't know. I don't know whether this has been thought of before. Perhaps Lawrence might have some thoughts himself on that. We got any more?
No, I'm caught up now. Yeah,
fantastic.
You carried on to say, sure, Ivan would have chosen a black and white checkered arm.
Mm-hmm.
Cookie today would probably go for a black with the CC 111 on arm, and so on.
I guess the only problem about that is cost.
Yeah.
If you're doing Team Kevlars, then they all have different designs.
Yeah.
Possibly that would be a factor. It's certainly an idea worth exploring. We're always looking ways to brighten this sport up, aren't we?
I think it's a cracking idea. Yeah.
I think we've just got enough time to touch on this subject that I was talking about earlier. I might get a bit controversial here now.
Oh, go on then.
I don't know. Maybe I'm not.
Quickly, hello to all the people on our website as well, or on the chat room as well.
Okay.
I can see and hear you this week.
Actually, before we talk about that, I think we might actually leave it. Not. It's a big subject. Nobody else knows what I'm talking about.
I ain't got a clue now.
You'll find out.
I never know what you're talking about.
I'm talking about last night's England match.
Oh, right, okay.
Issues.
It's probably a good subject, this.
Yeah,
actually.
so
Yeah.
we'll give it a bit more time, I think, for that one. How do people take part? Perhaps you could let them know that.
Well, you can. Most of you are on this Facebook page now, so you can go to this Facebook page, and I will share it on the Facebook pages in a bit. I just haven't had time because
you're lazy.
Yeah, we got behind. You can also see and hear us on other Facebook pages, and you can also listen to us on www.srbradio.com or sports-radio.co.uk.
Fantastic. And we want your thoughts, your ideas. We have a guest on tonight, Ashley Morris, riding for Wolverhampton and for Birmingham this year. What I would really love is your ideas of guests that you would like to come on next week. And if I can get that to happen, I certainly will. So, yeah. And yeah, I know what the first one that's going to be. Somebody's going to come up and say Ty Woffington, aren't they?
Yeah, definitely.
So, yeah, we'd all like to get Ty on. We have tried.
Yeah.
And we will try again. So, okay, so there's been some matches. Might as well run through the matches that there have been over the past week.
You do that while I'm doing some sharing.
Okay, this is going to get a bit longer as we go on.
Mm-hmm.
But there was Leicester against Ipswich, 40-50 in favour of Ipswich. Josh Bates scored 13. I told you he was going to go good this season, did I not?
You did.
And Chris Harris got a 15-point maximum. So there you go. In Ben Barker's testimonial, it was Redcar 33. Ben Barker top scoring for them. Newcastle 29. Lewis Kerr scored 12 points, same as Ben Barker. Middlesbrough got 20. Sandmasters scored 11. And Workington scored 20, with Sam Worrell scoring 11, and our very own Ulrich Ostergaard coming second place in the Workington team with 5 points. So all good, I think.
All good.
And a decent turnout, I believe. And Redcar won the meeting, and well done, Ben. I think that might be a way forward for testimonials. I quite like that idea.
Okay.
So we have got coming up tomorrow the big press and practice at Birmingham. Now, what I would have liked to have done tonight is given some information about what's going to be happening in Mr. Mason's farewell meeting next week, but I'm guessing, and it makes sense, doesn't it, that they're going to leave that announcement until tomorrow, unless our friend Mr. Lawrence Rogers wants to give us a few clues, a few tasters. You can do that at any time you like, Lawrence. We will not complain.
Okay, right.
Right, so I think I'm going to ask you to go and phone our friend Ashley.
Right, okay.
We'll get that on the go. And we'll see what his thoughts are.
Okay, just quickly, Anthony Douglas says, good evening.
Good evening, Anthony.
Lawrence Rogers says, Bomber was really on it at Leicester.
Say that again.
Lawrence says, Bomber was really on it.
Bomber was really on it, okay.
Yeah, Roy Clark's sleeves have been done in the LA World Cup final, I think. Certainly Abrigo meeting out there used them. So there we go.
I didn't understand a word of what you just said.
He's talking about a meeting in the World Final
Okay.
where they did use the armbands.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there we
Right.
go.
So it's not a new idea.
Keep
then.
up, will you please?
Yeah, sorry, I'm trying.
Well, and I shall try and get a friend.
So, yeah, of course, Ashley is going to be riding for both Wolverhampton and Birmingham next year, and we'll see his thought. And the Wolverhampton are going to be having their press and practice at the weekend, I believe.
Okay.
On Sunday. So I'm just going to go and grab Ashley for me. I'm going to pop these on so that I can hear him. Okay, so yeah, we would like to sort of look ahead. Maybe we can get a few clues off Ashley, actually, what the teams might be. We know that Ashley will be riding for Wolverhampton in the Dan Mason testimonial. We don't know much more than that, really. So I can hear him coming now. This is good modern technology going on here.
Yeah.
As he plugs the
doofer
in the what's it? Hands the thingy over to me, and I go, "Hello, Ashley, are you there?"
Hi, mate, you alright?
Fantastic! It worked again. Wow.
A bit of modern technology, you say?
3 times on the trot. That's really good. First of all, I'd like to say welcome to Birmingham.
Yeah, thank you. Looking forward to it. So, can't wait to get going now. Press practice around the corner. So,
well, yeah, press and practice tomorrow, of course. Now, we've just been talking about... I'm going to put you on the spot here. I'm really sorry. We've just been talking about next week's meeting, and, of course, we haven't got any information yet other than you're going to be riding for Wolverhampton. Not fair, by the way. Have you got any more information about who's going to be riding yet? Or
no information at all, mate, to be honest with you. I just, like you say, I'm riding for Wolves, which obviously you just pointed out, but apart from that, I don't know anything else, so I'll just turn up and just have a bit of fun on the bike before the season kicks off with the serious stuff. So,
okay, well, let's talk a little bit about Wolves then. They've been quite highly fancied this year, that team.
Yeah, we had a good, we've got a good bunch of lads. We all get on really well on and off the track. Like, we know where each other, like, for team riding and everything, but obviously just a bit unfortunate with how mainly our away form let us down last year, which was unfortunate. But overall, we've got a lot of potential in this team, and hopefully a bit more strengthening up that we've done this year, and it should pay off, and we'll be pushing for trophies this year with Wolves. So fingers crossed.
Of course, not the best start with Jakob Thorsell injuring himself before the season gets going. But
it's a bit frustrating. Obviously, for Jakob, he's obviously been practicing and working hard to come back stronger this year, and obviously for this to happen so close to the season is obviously a massive blow for himself and for the club. But obviously we've brought in Scott now, so it's another team man that we can rely on. So we've just need to build on that now, and obviously Scott's going to be able to do just as good of a job, so we're looking forward to it.
Yeah, I mean, he seems to have started off quite strong, having won the Ben Fun meeting as well. Yeah, definitely.
So, obviously, first meeting of the year, and he goes and wins it, and does it the hard way by passing as well. So
at Leicester,
that's good to hear. At Leicester as well, yes. Yeah. So, he must have some speed around there then.
I was there. It was interesting. So, I mean, well, let's not even go into that. So, excuse me. So at Wolverhampton, so as you say, you're looking to be going for trophies this year. The track at Wolverhampton, which obviously spent time there riding there for Cradley as well.
Yeah.
So you know the place quite well. Very different track to Birmingham.
Yeah, well, yeah, it is, to be fair. Obviously, Wolves is a tight technical track, and Birmingham's a wider and more flat out track, you know what I mean? So it's best of both worlds for me, which I'm really looking forward to.
But you have had some good meetings at Birmingham as well, haven't you?
Yeah, I really enjoy the place, and obviously, like I say, it's a new challenge for me with a bigger track, which is what I need. And I don't know, I just feel like after the last couple of years being at Wolves and Newcastle, that's two tight tracks all the time. So to have that difference is something that I can only build on, I reckon.
I think so, and we're really looking forward to having the most local rider we've had for a few years riding for us. Yeah, well, to be honest, it's my two home tracks now are obviously, I think the furthest with traffic is 40 minutes away. Right.
So it's not bad at all. So that's cut my travelling down a hell of a lot this year, which is a massive bonus for me as well.
Obviously, travelling up to Newcastle is slightly more than 40 minutes.
Yeah, just a bit. Yeah. 3.5 hours, isn't it? So, and also their local derbies. Obviously, that's against Berwick upon Tweed and clubs up there, which obviously is nowhere near local for me. So there was a lot of regular travelling up there as well and staying up. So, and I think the travelling is a massive part of tiring you out, along with everything else. Because I'm doing the bike prep and everything myself. So that's just one thing that can ease off the pressure a bit this year.
So one of the questions we asked our guests last week, and we're going to ask you this about the Wolverhampton team. I've got a slightly different question about Birmingham team actually, but I'm just going to put you on the spot a little bit. So we've basically asked, who do you think is going to finish top of the average at Wolverhampton at the end of the season, and who's going to be the rider that's improved the most?
I don't know. To be fair, I'd like to say I'd be the rider who improves the most. Obviously.
That's the right answer, by the way.
Yeah, we're obviously working hard every year and giving it 100%. I feel like I've got a lot more to give, and I don't know. I just feel like it's a massive positive this season, so I can't wait to get going. But top of the averages, I don't have a clue, mate. To be honest with you, we've got a strong team throughout, so it's a tough one to call that.
And the Birmingham team's set up quite a bit different to the Wolverhampton team. So there's a lot of you being one of those riders that are really close together in the averages. So I imagine that there's 4 or 5 of you really starting this season thinking, do you know what, I'm going to be number one in that team by the end of the year.
To be honest, that's obviously a good goal for us all. Obviously, I'd love to be number one, and a massive part is I want to be able to just support the team and obviously get plenty of points on the table for myself and for the club. and I feel like if we're all chipping in with our averages and that, we've got nothing to worry about, and I feel like we'll be there or thereabouts, as in competitive throughout the season, which is what everyone wants for this new year, stepping up. So
I guess it's a help as well with having the British riders in and them getting that reduction in their average.
I don't know, to be honest with you. Obviously, I don't have to deal with the team building,
No.
which
You're just going to ride.
takes a bit of stress off me, but I just need to turn up and do my job on the night, and that's all I'm focused on. But we've got a good bunch of lads, and we all know each other, so it's just a case of building on that. And as the meetings go on, just keep the atmosphere going, and hopefully getting the good results on the board.
So we mentioned that the Wolverhampton team has been fancied by quite a lot of people to do well this year. I don't think we can say the same has been said about the Birmingham team. I've seen a fair few, shall we say, unflattering predictions. I'm guessing that's something that you use as a motivation.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, you want to prove people wrong. Obviously, there's a lot of doubters out there. There always has been. And it's always nice to prove people wrong in anything you do. But I feel like as a club, our focus is to obviously perform to the best of our ability, which is obviously what we're all focused to do. We've been brought in to do a job. And it's a massive leap for the club itself, obviously stepping back up.
Yes.
Obviously, the Masons have took this risk, and we're the riders that they've chose to have in their team for this first challenge for them. So hopefully do the club proud and them proud. And I don't know, I feel like this is obviously an experimental year for them to see how it goes, but I don't feel like we have a lot of slack. I feel like we've got people to prove wrong, and I think that's exciting in itself, to be honest.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely right, and I think a lot of the fans are approaching it in exactly that sort of frame of mind. As at the end of the season, we're going to turn around and say, well, you was wrong, wasn't you?
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, looking forward to the new season now. I imagine you can't wait to get on the bike tomorrow at the Preston practice.
Yeah, I've managed to get out on my 2 new bikes that are obviously full of fresh parts and a new engine and that, and I've managed to bed them in. So tomorrow is literally just getting up to speed on the track and working out setups rather than obviously stretching chains as well that you normally do at the start of the year. Mm-hmm. So hopefully tomorrow's track time can be really constructive and just have a bit of fun out there as well, and just get to grips with the track again before obviously it all kicks off. Yeah, it's exciting.
And what's the machinery that you're using this year?
I'm on GMs and I'm on Jawa frames, so obviously it's a popular one for the GMs. Everyone's on them nowadays, obviously, but a mix of riders like switch from Jawa to Stewart frames and that. But I find the way I ride the bike and my style, it suits the Jawa, to be honest. So that's what I'm on.
I'd also be interested in your opinion about something, actually, which is, as I understand it, that next season you guys are going to be having rev limiters on your bikes.
Oh, I don't know about that. Obviously, this season, like now, obviously 2019, obviously that we don't need that just yet. I don't think. I haven't heard anything. But I heard a rumour that they're bringing it in at some point. I just don't know what date or anything. So I think you guys will just know as much as me, to be fair.
I mean, is that something that worries you, or is it just get on with it?
No, all the engine tuners, they still talk really positive about it. So if they're positive that the engines can still perform to the best of their capability with these limiters, I don't feel like we should be worried. So until you do testing, it's always a what if. And
I guess the idea is to stop over revving the bikes so that they don't need quite so much servicing. Yeah,
well, possibly. I don't even know how much you're going to gain from that, though. Personally, obviously, it's a limiter, but I think you'll still need to service them just as regularly and everything like that. So I don't think it's going to cost too much, save you too much, to be fair.
Possibly cost you a bit more because you've got to put this limiter on. But...
Well, exactly. Yeah, I think obviously we're having to have our engine serviced after between 30 and 40 rides anyway. I don't think that's going to change at all, to be honest with you, with limiters being put on. So I don't know what we're going to gain from that, to be fair.
Interesting to obviously to get a rider's perspective on that. Okay, well, Ashley, thank you so much for coming on the show tonight.
Yeah, not a problem, yeah. Thank you for having me.
No problem. You have a great press and practice tomorrow, and I'll come buy you a pint at the end of the night, mate.
I won't be having a pint. I'll have a drink up you, no worries about that. But, no, thank you for having me on tonight.
No problem.
Look forward to seeing you around the tracks.
Yep, you take care, mate.
And
See
you,
soon.
cheers.
Bye-bye. We've had some great guests on this show this year.
Already?
Yeah,
3 shows in. 3 shows in.
It's been really good.
There's quite a few people on the chat box at the moment, so I think it might be a good idea just to quick fire, just say, who's your team?
That's a good idea, yeah. So put your team up.
Just put your team up.
Put your team up, and what sort of season you think you're going to have, good, bad or indifferent.
Yeah, not who you're riding for or who you're managing or who you're promoting.
Yes.
Who's your team?
Who's your team?
Don't be shy. Okay, can I have my phone back and I can carry on sharing?
Of course you can.
Back, yeah. No, okay.
If I can find it, you can have it back.
Oh God!
Whoops! There you go. It's this rectangular thing in front of me, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it. Yep. Yeah,
right.
yeah.
We've got a few things to go through. If there's anything up on the shout box, just chuck it my way. We've got some teams coming up: Kings Lynn and Brummies, and
I'll go through them in a bit.
Yeah.
Dave, Duncan says that he sounds like a sensible lad with his head screwed on. You're not talking about me or you. He's talking about
yeah, obviously. Do you know what? That's the thing that I've in interviewing a lot of these riders. That's the thing that I've noticed more than anything is that a lot of them, they're not what you would call kamikaze kids.
No.
In their attitude,
Yeah.
Slightly different attitude when they get on the bike, I think, sometimes. But, they all seem to have their heads screwed on.
Okay, so I'll go through a few.
Yes, go for it.
Barry Vertigan says Kings Lynn. And then we've got David Twine.
Just go back a bit, because I just saw something there which was interesting. Eric Parsons says maybe Wolves should move down after next season.
Why?
I think it's a bit further. So what's to get excited about? Wolves only in a 7-team league. Good luck, Birmingham. You're in the best league now.
All right, okay. Carry on. Okay.
Yeah. Well, we might come back to that.
Yeah. David Twine, Brummies, is also a Blues fan as well. Good lad.
Oh dear.
Can't disagree. 7 far too few for any league, says Matt Book.
Who is a Wolverhampton supporter. So, Matt, would you like to see yourself in the same league and being beaten by the Brummies? Let us know.
Alan Atherton says Aces.
Playoffs, hopefully win this time. You're certainly going to get to the playoffs, I think.
Stephen Bradford says Kent Kings.
Nice team this year.
Ben says Eastbourne. So we're getting quite a good variety, really. Yeah, it's great. Ruth Hannah, Birmingham. Hopefully a season where we can prove people wrong.
Yep, I agree with that.
Jez Lynch, Sheffield, hopefully pushing towards the right end of the league this season.
I think they've got a reasonable team this year.
Yeah. Another one from Sheffield, Charles Stephen. Matt Book, Ash is a good lad who's developed well in the last few years. Will be a real coup for Birmingham.
I think it's going to be an interesting season because, as I said, there's 4 or 5 riders there that could be looking at trying to get that number 1 spot at the end of this year. That sort of competition is always good.
Yeah. Dean Brundle said Swindon this year.
Just this year.
So did he go somebody else next last year?
Okay.
Well, you're allowed to do that, aren't you? Stephen said, Norway. Doing 1-0 against Sweden in football now. European qualifying match.
We might talk a little bit about the Montenegro thing, as I said.
Yeah. Eric Parsons says, who said Eastbourne? They could pull a few surprises.
I don't think it's ever a surprise. I mean, I'm going to get into trouble here.
Go on then.
But their track is the 8th man for them. It just is.
Right.
I think more so in the National League than it will be in this league because there's much more experienced riders in this league, so they will cope with that track a little bit more. But it is, and it's a worry when you get to things like playoffs. Over 2 legs when you've got a big home track advantage. But that we done that to death, haven't we? So we'll move on.
Yeah. Matt says, doubt will move down while CVS is about, being very damning in his criticism of the second tier.
Okay.
Let's just see if we've got anybody. Come on here. Yes, I am. Ask Lawrence, who is likely to guest.
Lawrence, who's likely to guest.
There you go. It's Tomo, it is. He's got his name up now. So
I think we'll find. I've got a feeling we'll find that information out tomorrow. It makes sense, doesn't it? It's press and practice. You want to make a big splash, so I think we'll probably find that out tomorrow.
I agree.
There you go.
Glasgow Tigers and Team GHT. Says Gordon McDonald. Eric Parsons, pull to win again. They will just bring riders in on false averages if struggling.
Who's that? Paul.
Yeah. Eric.
Okay. You've got to find the riders that are on false average. I've got to say this, right? I mean, because I've been a big Paul, like loads of fans, because it's the Man U thing. It's it's that thing of the top dog, isn't it?
Yeah.
But if there are riders out there on false averages and they get them, well, then they were there for somebody else to get. So, if that's what you can do, you do it, I guess.
Yeah.
So I can't criticise them for that, I guess, is what I'm saying, because I would love it if we did it.
Yeah.
You would love it if it did it.
Course,
if it happened for your club. It just happens that Paul seemed to do it every time, and it's annoying. But there you go. Go on.
Swindon. Duncan says Swindon reducing track length by 40 metres. Apparently, I think that may improve racing there. As always thought, it was a horsepower track.
I've usually quite liked the racing at Swindon.
What do you mean by a horsepower track? I'm sorry.
If you've got the best engine, you're going to win.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. But I think that this motorsport, that's true of most motorsport. If you've got the better engine,
the better engines win, don't they?
However, it's about all the engines are 500cc, and it's. I've always liked the racing at Swindon. It's going to be interesting to see whether that plays in their favour as the season goes on, because they will obviously have more experience on this track as the season goes on than teams coming up with them. But there are only 7 teams in the league. They're all going to get on that track fairly early. Going to be interesting. Hope it works for them. That's the first thing. Hope that they bed it in well, and they're trying to do it in a very quick time. So hope that works for them. Lawrence Rogers, quick plug that we are doing another Lotto bonus ball draw, £10 a go, with £250, win £250 with funds going towards the new balls pits.
That's good, yeah.
So I shall probably put 10 quid in that myself tomorrow.
Yeah. You may well find
Was
out
that English?
tomorrow at the meeting, the Riders' Night, who our guest is.
That's what I thought. Thanks, Lawrence.
Richard said, "What the is Barry Vertigo?" Don't know. Think Kingsland will struggle away from home this year. We talked about the bonus ball. Swindon track now is around 320 metres now.
Yeah, I think it's 330 actually. I think already it's going to be 330 metres.
Okay. And Dan's gone for Ipswich to win, strong 1-7.
Well, we're going to give our prediction. My prediction's probably not going to be Ipswich, because I predict them to win the championship nearly every year, and then they contrive a way of not winning. So I don't. But we're going to do our predictions next year. Next year. That'd be a good prediction, wouldn't it? I need to get some new teeth. Next week we're going to do our predictions, because we was going to do them this week.
Can't we do it last week?
Yeah, let's do them last week. That's safest, isn't it? Because with Matt not being here, he obviously can't make his predictions, so we're going to do that next week. Right, so a couple of things that I want to talk about tonight. One, which is the rule changes, and obviously whatever people put up as well. There's been a few rule changes that people may or may not be aware about this year. I'm going to try and run through them, desperately searching through this paper that I've got in front of me. And there's what we was talking about earlier with the Montenegro-England game, which people might think, what's that got to do with Speedway?
What's that got to do with Speedway?
Shall we talk about that first?
Yeah, I think it's a great subject. Yeah.
Okay, so...
Bit taboo, but yeah.
Yeah, well, it was just something that occurred to me while I was driving over here in the car today. Because obviously it's big news about the racial abuse that some of our players received in the England football match last night, which, is absolutely bang out of order and should never happen. Nobody... And I sometimes think that Speedway, over certain other sports, football being one of them, can sort of take the moral high ground on certain aspects. So, for instance, if a footballer is tripped over, you would think you might as well start digging the grave. Where a speedway rider falls over, has a bike run over him, hit over his head. I'm talking Chris Harris now in that famous incident, and then runs back to the pits, gets on the next bike, and comes out and wins the race. The difference. So I sometimes think that we can claim the moral high ground on a lot of things, but I don't think this is one of them. Now I know that that sort of thing doesn't happen at speedway grounds, but there's a very good reason for that, isn't there? It's never been tested because how many black riders are there?
Are there any?
There's one.
Right. Okay.
He's a Swedish, and he doesn't ride in this country. Swedish rider, whose name I've unfortunately won't come into my head. He rides Grand Prix. As far as I'm aware, I think there was another black rider that rode for Birmingham in second halves. I think his name was Clive Facey, if that rings a bell. Somebody might put me right. I can't think of any other black riders.
Right.
I can't think of any black faces in the crowd.
No, it's something you don't...
you don't seem to see.
Which is, Perry Bar is quite a multicultural area, isn't it?
Well, Birmingham itself is very multicultural.
Well, Perry Bar itself, where it's situated, so it's almost surprised me. That's really.
You don't see black people running anything to do with Speedway. You don't see any black faces at all.
No.
So I don't think we can take the moral high ground there, and I think that's it's wrong. We don't reflect our society, and at a time when Speedway is looking to try and increase its fan base, we're missing a hell of a trick, aren't we?
Antonio Lindback.
That was it. Yes.
Yeah. Matt and Lawrence, thank you very much, and Stephen Zetterwall. Yep, Lindback. Paul Munchine. Nope.
I'd be interested to hear other people's opinions on that, but I've always felt that one of the best things that Birmingham could ever do is sign a black rider. Fortunately, there's no black rider to sign, which but it would create. Okay, just from the point of view, it would be the right thing to do for a start off, but from the point of view of a marketing situation, it would create interest, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I see what you're saying, but the rider's got to want to ride.
Well, it's got to be, of course. Yeah, I can't just pick up.
Yeah,
I can't just go along the street.
Like saying, we're going to have you.
No. I understand that,
yeah.
but then, if that's a target, if that's something that is worthwhile doing, then there should be some concerted effort, should there not, to try and encourage and recruit black people into. I'm saying that as if it's an easy thing. I wouldn't know how to do it. I'll be honest, but it's just a shame, isn't it? So
yeah. I know where you're coming from. Yeah.
Anyway, that's my rant about that over. I would be interesting. There's a West Indian family down at Perry Bar. Okay,
there you go.
That's great to see. Obviously, I'm on the track, so I don't really get to see this, but that's great. But we shouldn't congratulate ourselves to say that there's one West Indian family.
No.
But yeah. Alan Atherton says, I think the colour of skin is irrelevant.
Yeah.
People complain there is not enough black managers.
So
what's life if you're good enough doesn't matter colour of skin. Yeah, of course you have to be good enough.
Mm.
But I just think we're missing a trick.
Yeah, but we shouldn't be just getting. We shouldn't just be Oh, I don't know how to say this. We shouldn't
Yes,
just
be
be
careful.
looking
I know,
for black
I know.
riders to fulfil a
you're right.
commercial aspect. Of
No, we
the,
shouldn't.
You know what I'm saying?
No, absolutely. And I said,
Yeah.
and I qualified it right at the beginning of saying it should be done because it's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, absolutely, I agree. And I also don't know how you do it because you can't just walk down the road and say, "Would you like to come and ride for Birmingham Speedway?"
Yeah.
Why? Well, because you've got a black skin. That's wrong. It's obviously wrong.
Yeah.
I'm
I'm
dangerous
not sure.
sounding like
I'm
an Alan
not sure if there's
Partridge
going to be an
here,
answer. There's not going to be an answer until a black rider comes along
Yeah,
for the right reason.
well, that's it, and that exactly right, and so we need not to sit on our laurels, but we need to create an environment where that's possible.
Yeah.
I think that's what, and I don't think necessarily we do that. So anyway,
And Alan's said what about the Chinese fans? Yeah, same question, I suppose.
well, yes.
Asian
Asian
question.
fans.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
it's interesting. We got a lot of Polish community in Birmingham, and we don't seem to. They don't seem to.
That's
seem
right.
to-
Yeah, that's
so-
a bit of a mystery, isn't it? It's a massive Polish.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So
That is a strange one. Yeah.
interesting. Anyway,
Yeah.
right. Rule changes.
Okay. Yeah.
Now, I'm going to go through these rule changes as best as I can, knowing that Lawrence Rogers is listening and will put me right when I get something wrong, and I will. There's a couple of, shall we say, controversial regulations that have been ditched this year. So this season, riders are no longer going to face a disqualification for riding across the infield.
For
riding across the infield.
Right, okay, yeah.
So
Instant qualification.
No, they're not going to.
Right,
They're not going to keep up.
Yeah, sorry.
So the past couple of
Multitask.
seasons, that they brought in a rule where if the rider rode across the infield,
Right.
they would be disqualified. The riders asked for a change in the rule. That meant that, okay, fine, we'll do that, but if we're on the track and making our way towards the tapes, we don't get disqualified for time exclusion.
Yeah.
So if you're on the track under power, making your way towards the tape, so that was, but they've decided that's not going to happen this year. In fact, what they're saying is that rather than being disqualified, the rider will be fined. And depending on the level of the event, the meeting will be the level of the fine that's given.
Got you.
Also, last year there was a new rule. I don't think we ever saw it at Perry Bar last year. I don't think it happened, but the new rule was that they would handicap a competitor by 15 metres for the rerun of a race, which his teammate caused to be stopped when the opposition were on a 5-1. Did you follow that?
Just run that slowly, because
So the rule was the rule was that if a competitor, if the race was stopped,
yes,
while the other team was on a 5-1, and the race was stopped because of one of your riders falling off, then obviously he would be excluded, but the rider that's back in the heat would be handicapped by 15 metres. That's to stop riders from saying, "Oh, they're on a 5-1, I'll fall off. We might get a 3-3."
Oh yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah.
But it was open to interpretation by the referees, and there was lots of weird and wonderful interpretations. So they've decided to scrap that rule. So
Right.
there was a situation in, I think it was one of the playoffs Must have been the final, actually, where that happened, and nobody really agreed with the ref about the way he read it. And so anyway, that's it didn't look good on BT Sport, I think, is the thing. So they scrapped that rule.
Yeah, right, okay. Any more rule changes?
There is. I'm looking for them. There's a lot of sort of words here.
Okay.
So I'm trying.
Do you want me to backtrack to an earlier conversation, Molly? Just looking at.
This is interesting. I've just found this is a brand new rule for this country anyway. It happens in Poland apparently, which is to the starting procedure. And the idea now is that they come to the line and do all their gardening and etc. etc. And then they don't they're not under starters' orders or anything until the starting marshal gives a signal to the ref, and then he has to walk past the bikes. And the green light doesn't come on until after he's done that.
Okay.
Now, previously, the green light would come on as soon as they was at the tapes, and then he would walk away. And so there was a very much a stop, go. So green light, go sort of situation. The idea is it's going to be slightly longer,
right,
at the tapes, and will handicap those that try to anticipate the start.
Yeah,
that's the idea. And they did that at Leicester, and I hadn't realised this new rule had come in when I was at Leicester at the Ben Fund, and it did seem like that they were at the tapes a little bit longer, and there were a few riders caught out, and right, particularly at the beginning of the meeting, until they got used to it, I suppose. There was a few riders that went into the tapes. Mm-hmm. So that's going to be an interesting one to watch, that one.
Good.
There's also this business, this new cup in the top league, in the Premiership League, where you got where the meeting is run under the old 13 heat rules, but then you've got an extra 2 heats on top of that. You got two heats that are nominated races, and heat 14 is nominated by the fans.
Oh, right, okay.
And heat 15 is nominated by the team manager. There's an obvious problem there, isn't there?
In what way?
Well, if you're, which they have addressed, by the way, but but we was all going, well, there's an obvious problem here, which is that if I'm an opposition fan and I'm up against Paul, I say, well, I want Paul to put their worst riders in, so I'll vote for their worst riders to go in, right?
Yeah.
But they've got around that a little bit, because they basically nominate, the team managers nominate 4 riders and from their team, and so they have to pick from those 4 riders.
Mm.
So obviously the team managers aren't going to nominate their worst riders in that. And then in heat 15, the team managers nominate for that, which mean, but they can't nominate any of the riders that were in heat 14.
Right. Okay.
Which then makes you wonder, well, as a team manager, do you make sure you've got the 2 riders that you want out in heat 15 by not nominating them, for putting them as the 4 riders for heat 4? So there's quite a bit of tactical stuff going on there, which I think is a little bit complicated, but I quite like. So it'll be interesting to what other people's. The National League is now going to have tactical substitutions in the old way, which is if you're 6 points behind, they can nominate somebody to go in, which brings them in line with the other leagues. So, and I think that.
Okay, well, I've got about 15 comments now to get through.
Okay, let's go for it.
I think it's 13, but... Okay, so Jack says, we have a lot of... I'm just backtracking to what we said earlier. We have a lot of Polish people in Ipswich. They don't seem to have even the slightest inclination to watch Speedway. Too expensive, maybe? Not good enough, maybe?
I was at King's Lynn a few seasons ago, standing on the second bend with a friend, and got approached. That sounds wrong.
It does,
I got talking to I got talking to one of a girl that was standing next to us, and she was from Poland.
Yep.
And she was over. I think she was over with a friend, and she was saying, "Oh, if I was in Poland, there'd be much more interaction. There'd be bigger crowds,
Noise.
etc., etc. Lots
Yeah.
more noise. You know,
Yeah.
it's much more of almost a football type atmosphere, isn't it?
Yeah.
But she didn't say. But the one thing that she didn't say was that the racing was any better. I don't remember her saying that the racing was any better or any worse. It was in 2007, I think it was, that happened actually.
And John Shaw's just reiterated what you're saying there. You're saying, I work with many Polish and they don't attend UK Speedway tracks because they're too small and don't bring entertainment like their tracks do. Are their words, not mine?
Well, see, here's the thing about that. If you and there's a guy from Eastbourne on here tonight. If you speak to somebody from Eastbourne, he will tell you that his track produces entertainment and won't agree that when I say they've got a trick track, or that other people say, he will turn around and say that no, our track is good. We've got really good entertainment. That's what. If you go to Leicester and ask some, they will say the same. You go to Birmingham, they will say the same. You go to King's Lynn, they will say the same. You go to Sheffield. Everybody loves their own track and thinks that their type of track is actually the best sort of track. And the same's going to be the same for Polish people. They will think that, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
But it's not true anymore, is it? When you got tracks like the National Stadium at Bellevue, which is cracking, probably produces the best racing in the world.
Yeah.
Nobody can tell me that Birmingham doesn't produce good racing. It's like every other track. It only produces good racing if the riders are there to do it. And the riders can only do it, of course, if the right amount of dirt and not too much, not enough. It has to be right. But I don't think necessarily the size of the track is that important to producing entertainment. It's the surface.
I think we've got a good chance we won't get through everything tonight. And we didn't think we'd have enough.
We can try.
And Matt says, to be fair, Polish fans aren't like British Speedway fans. Lots of British fans go to meetings around the country just to see good racing. Poles are only interested in their own teams or riders in the GP.
Yeah, well, there is that tribalism that's almost football. We mentioned it before. Tribalism in Poland, from what I understand. I've never been there, so I'm going on second-hand information. I don't know. I think the too expensive remark might be nearer to the mark, to be honest, because as I understand it, Polish Speedway is pretty cheap in comparison. And even when you take into account the different sort of economy in the countries and so on, it's yeah.
And going back to the rule changes, Paul says you're talking about a tactical laydown.
Yes, I'm talking about a tactical laydown.
And Eric says, I could be struggling to understand the Speedway
Isn't it
rules.
great when somebody just cuts across your 30,000 words with 3 words? Well done, mate.
Yeah. Roger Frick, Mark is back working with Max this season. They are good friends and work well together. I think Roger's talking to somebody else on there, but very good to hear, Roger. Your next guest on the show, Roger Frick. There we go.
Well, Roger, do you want to come on the show, mate?
Anybody can come on the show.
You can come on the show. That'd be cool. We would love to have you on the show. We
have biscuits. Oh, no, we don't.
Did you mention yellow and black cover will now be just yellow? No, I didn't mention that. And now you've said it, I remember that is a thing, but I'd totally forgot that. Yes, that's a good point, Lawrence. We could have done with that last year, couldn't we? National League now has rider replacement when a rider gets injured on the day.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
okay.
so instant rider replacement, basically. That cocked us up a few times last year.
Okay. No, it's gone.
There was something there about the trickiest tracks, and I would have liked to have. The trickiest track was Crewe, and Crewe Kings. Browne never did a lot there. One of my greatest memories is going to Crewe. I actually remember us beating Crewe Kings when we was in the old second division. And Arthur Browning was riding for us, and that track was like a minefield. It was so bumpy. Arthur Browne, I think he got a maximum that day, and he seemed to be gliding over the track without actually touching it. It was because he was that bumpy. His wheels were hardly touching the surface. It was, weird place.
Stephen says, I love Owlerton Stadium at Sheffield.
I've only been once, but yeah, it's a nice stadium, nice surface, big track. Produces good racing.
You've said the trickiest track. I think people are a bit hard on Eastbourne about their track, and that is quite a statement from a Fen Tigers fan.
It is.
But it'd be a great sense of achievement for an away rider or team to ride it well, and a real feather in their cap.
I think so. I think Birmingham got a few riders that could well do well at Eastbourne. There are two things about the Eastbourne track, right? And I've been unkind about the Eastbourne track, and I'd like to take a little bit of it back. There are two reasons why they do have such good home advantage, and reason one is because they've got a very technical small track, weirdly shaped. It's like a
square.
It's like an egg. It's like an egg.
Oh right, okay. Yeah.
But the other thing is that they can practice on the thing.
Yeah.
Which we can't, and
we were talking earlier about the extra man,
yeah. So that makes a difference as well. Particularly, I think in the National League, when they was in the National League, possibly not quite as much in the Premier League. We shall see.
Mm-hmm. Duncan says Newport, Summerton Park, king of the trick tracks.
I always liked Newport. Oh, they're just talking about the old. Okay, sorry, different Newport.
Summerton Park, yeah.
Lawrence Rogers was very much 5-1s in Heat 2 will be great with the after race shows because I think he's referring to possible celebrations and people trying to outdo each other, because we all know James Shanes likes a good celebration. So we're going to see how Paco does as well.
Okay.
So I think that's what that's about.
Anthony Bailey says, is our fabulous centre green presenter back this season? And then strangely, the next comment.
Hello, Ryan. He started already.
He's been waiting for his fan to come on, you think?
Yeah, he's waiting for his fan to come on. Are you doing any singing this year, Guesty? Please say no.
Please don't. Please don't. Mark Robinson, well, I'm willing to tell all from being on the inside. Oh, he's talking about the Cradley.
Okay.
Cradley. Yeah, you'll have to come in one of the days, Mark, but if you do come in, we will need somebody else to come in as well to balance the comments up. But yeah, we'll have you in. Yeah, good stuff. Well, we've gone from not thinking we wouldn't
we hadn't got a show to
we hadn't got enough to go to amazing.
Well, the Speedway season's really started now, hasn't it? And actually, before we go, what I would like to do, I'm trying to make a feature of this if I can. Okay. If I can remember to do it. We got some matches coming up this week, so we'll just go through the matches that are going to be happening this week. So on the 28th, we have the second leg of Ipswich versus Leicester. Ipswich, of course, 10 points in front. On the 29th of this month, we have Redcar versus Newcastle in what I believe is the Tyne Tees Trophy. 30th of we have Leicester versus Redcar. I reckon Redcar will win that at home, and I reckon Leicester are going to beat Redcar at home. By the way, I'm really setting myself up for a fall. On the 30th, we also have two big individuals. We've got the Peter Craven Memorial at Bellevue. There's a few good riders. That's going to be an interesting meeting. That is. I haven't got no information at this moment about the other meeting, which is in Berwick, which is the Border-Annapolis, but that's obviously Berwick's opener this year, so they'll be wanting their riders to do well. And we'll just give a quick shout to Leon Flint. Have a good season, mate. 31st, it's Sheffield versus Scunthorpe. Sheffield to win that could be a good meeting there. And Newcastle versus Redcar, the second leg of the Tyne Tees Trophies. I think that could be quite close between them over the two legs. So we shall see. So that's the Speedway coming this week. Press and practice on, I think it's Monday at Wolverhampton, and press and practice tomorrow at Birmingham. It's about to start, guys. Have a good week. Take care. Oh, and get better, Matt. Okay, come back again. Come back. Yeah, we forgot to do the draw. So we're asking everybody to share. We put you in our hat and we draw. So I'm going to do a quick draw and we'll find out who gets our t-shirt. I've got them over here. Yeah, dear me. Well, who have we got? Who have we got? It's Chris Browne. Ben T-Boy Clifton.
Ben T-Boy Clifton.
You T-Boy Clifton. You get in touch. Give us your size. Let us know where to send it, and you will have a free t-shirt. Ta-da!
Ta-da!